seeing Gravity.
Oh my God.
Don't move. Look.
Can
Oh,
we
wow.
get a shot of this?
Hold on.
Holy
so
smokes.
I'll
good.
take a picture.
We
made the
I'll take
coffee
a picture
laugh.
for you.
Nathan, you
There
did
you
good.
go.
Thank
I got
you.
a picture for you.
Thank you, Taylor.
Yeah.
There's a smiley face that just appeared. You know, we're going to send that to Sydney. Can you put that in there? Yeah. If we get right about now, you should be getting a shot of this.
Uh-oh, Nathan, he's getting sad. You got to make him laugh again.
Sad. Gravity, and you can't. No.
Gravity just all starts dripping down.
That's right.
Oh,
we're
no.
discussing birth control methods is what we were doing.
God.
Sorry, Sid.
Is it a Monday?
It feels like the last 2 weeks have been one giant Monday.
Well, I haven't seen you.
Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It has been. North Korea. So this is C-Chat with Nathan Wickline and Sarah Messer, and we're glad to have Sarah back. This is episode Bente, right? Bente is 20. French, that would be...
Va.
Va.
It sucks. What is it? Va?
Va.
Va.
There you
Just
go.
have to have a little air of...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sensuality in there.
Well, if that's what you want to call it.
Just cut your eyes a little.
Bente. I like Bente. I like 20.
I think it's VINGT.
Or
Va.
Vente, which is Starbucks large. So it's a Starbucks large.
Just how we like it.
Have you seen that video with, I think it's Paul Rudd, and he was like, no, Vente is not large. Vente is 20. He goes on and on, and he's like, and Grande is large, but you say that's a medium. You're wrong in every language there is. Anyway, so episode Starbucks large. Sarah Messer is back. We are #blessed to have her free from a North Korean, I guess a detainment center. It wouldn't be a prison.
I mean, I can't say too much.
Yeah, but we want to give a shout out to the men and women of the Delta team and the SEALs, and some pretty round-the-clock negotiations that were done to get you out. So we're happy to have you back. You brought 97 dogs back with you?
97 dogs, and I haven't really talked since. So.
It was ferrets, 32 ferrets.
32 ferrets.
So that's exciting. You're up to 716 animals now
In our house.
in the house.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, you're doing the Lord's work is what you're doing.
Any human detainees you got out?
2.
Mike.
2?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just Mike.
Better than I thought.
Poor Mike.
So Sarah's back.
The other one.
We're excited to have her back. We're excited to have our guest this week, Taylor Averitte.
Averitte. It's a hard A.
It's a hard A.
With an I.
Yeah, Averitte.
Averitte.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew it was
French.
pronounced. Well, he's got a French vibe.
That's what people tell me. Yeah.
Is it French?
I think it's British from a French language derivative.
Does it mean
I don't know what that
airplanes?
means.
The etymology of this would be.
I think it's English. A lot of my family are Scott Highlanders that were murdering each other, so they fled to the United States to
I can see that.
get away from retribution
explains a
sometime in the
lot.
early 19th century. Yeah. Then we became farmers in eastern North Carolina, and these are all people I don't know. So, and then now I'm here.
But you share genetics with.
Well, you'd say that, but I don't really look like any of them. My parents are very short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very hard Caucasian look, with the light hair and the blue eyes.
I'll tell you what I did. There was a girl in high school that was a Russian exchange student at my school, and somebody asked her, "What do people look like in your country?" And she pointed at me.
You could be a double agent. We've all seen The Americans.
Hey.
Yeah.
Now.
Hey.
Now
not
it
blow
makes
my
sense.
cover here.
Yeah, sorry about
Luckily,
that.
nobody listens to this.
Yeah.
There's tens and tens of people watching. I think I'm pretty sure we have one of our members in Israel. She'll
Yes.
tune in. So it's international.
Oh.
Yeah, it is
Okay,
international.
okay. Wow.
And we don't exactly know what she's up to over there.
No, she's possibly a spy.
Well, she's former
Mossad?
Air Force.
That's right.
Mossad?
She's very, yeah.
Those dudes don't play.
Yeah.
She's got the Krav Maga.
Wow.
Are we allowed to say her name?
No.
Mozzie.
Oh.
Oh,
I did.
Well, that's one name.
That's the name we know.
We know her by.
It's Agent 86 is what she's known as over there because you get 86. That's a restaurant term, but I think everybody knows.
Yes. Thank you, Nathan.
Well, I want to make sure everybody's involved and everybody feels like they're a part of this. But yeah, so
We are
she's in Israel.
inclusionary.
So when the statistics pop up this week, it's going to say this is no longer just in the States. We have now, boom, exploded on episode 20. Worldwide. Worldwide. I mean, it's not like everybody can do Europe. We're now in Asia,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, Europe, great.
I mean, is it East Asia or?
West Asia?
It's West Asia.
Yeah.
I can't do
it's
that.
a
Never
soft
eat
Asia. It's not a
shredded
hard.
No, it's not hard
Yeah,
Asia.
it's West
Yeah.
Asia.
I think they even compete in the European Championship soccer.
Well, I know they do Eurovision.
Yeah.
Isn't that?
Yeah, I think Europe's trying to kind of claim.
I heard that there's talk of the EU. Maybe we'll ask
Maybe.
Lazal.
Are they still doing that $1 for the whole of Europe? What was it called?
A
The euro.
The euro. Do
Yeah.
they still do
What?
that?
Sure, if you're in the
It
EU.
depends on what your.
I
what your
remember when
country is.
it came out. I was in like 5th grade, and we had to do this like special assignment about it.
Yeah.
That's all I
That's
know.
all. Well, I'm sure there's a conspiracy.
Well, I mean, the Christian school that I went to said it was an indicator of the end times.
Sure.
Wow.
I went to that same Christian school. Yes.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
the same one that said the Hall & Oates album was the devil's work because they had makeup on. Swear to God, it's a true story.
That explains a lot about you guys.
Yeah, that's where we're coming from.
Okay.
So, yeah, it is the end times, though.
Yeah.
There's been
I mean, it
sites
might be.
Well, there's been text this morning of
Text this
military
morning.
planes.
Very low over our field.
Yeah, I mean, I think it may be just protecting you.
Yeah.
Because of your situation.
Yep, they knew about the dogs.
Yeah.
You could get retribution. I had an English teacher in high school whose husband was a POW in Vietnam for 5 years,
Yeah.
and he escaped on the way to his execution.
Wow.
And then when he retired, he was recalled by the military and sent to the Philippines as a government advisor. And he was on a North Vietnamese hit list, and the North Vietnamese executed him in the Philippines something like 15 years after the war was over.
What?
Jeez, that's
I
the
read
worst
that
story I've ever
story.
heard.
Yeah.
He's like the LeBron James of the military.
Yeah.
Like he's got like a high school named
Wow.
after him, and he set up the SEER school, which is the survival and escape school that all the
yeah,
SEALs
yeah.
and Delta Force do. He's like a legit operator in the military and like a celebrity among military people.
So this podcast is dedicated to him today.
What was his name?
Nick Rowe.
Nick Rowe.
Go YouTube. I mean, you can just Wikipedia Nick Rowe. He's got a book, 5 Years to Freedom. You can probably buy it at Barnes & Noble. I did when I was 17.
Okay.
Super
So
chill
the
guy.
North Vietnamese.
Yeah.
Wow.
Still after all those years.
After all those years, he's on a list.
Did you go to that school?
To the no.
The
I thought we're back to the Christian school again. No. No. That's a whole nother animal.
Okay.
Those dudes are out there for
Yeah, well, Miss Rowe, legendary English teacher.
really.
Excellent. Yeah.
All right. Shout out to Miss Rowe. Then
Miss Rowe.
Is she still with us? Do we know?
So far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
so
if
far as
you're
I know.
watching this, Miss Rowe, if you're
Yeah.
in Israel watching
She's
this with
awesome.
our other people, glad to have you.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe we'll send her a copy of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can if we can put a picture of Mr. Rowe in right now, that'd be great.
Thank
So-
you. With the
easy.
smiley coffee.
If you just Google Nick Rowe, just like the whole Google Images is literally his military photo.
Wow.
You know, now that we've moved on to at least 20 of these things, let's look at maybe adding a few little things like pictures.
Yeah.
Just more work for you, Sid. You're
Yeah.
loving that.
It's a drag and drop.
Sydney's
Do you think
husband's
we
in
could-
Sweden right now. Wait,
What?
wait.
What is he doing?
If he doesn't watch this thing in Sweden, so we get Asia and Europe, I think we're starting to get some. I think
Yeah.
I think YouTube may start monetizing this.
Do you think we could get one of those
Wait, hold up. It's not
photos
monetized?
right here?
I was. Hold on,
You see the free coffee you got right there?
I was told there would be a check.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
That's why I'm here.
We
Yeah.
will issue that.
If you
to
will just send us
Sarah
a check,
mentioned a
if
check.
You just pay us. We'll be great. We won't cash you for a week.
Yes.
Okay, well, I guess I'm doing this for
Drum
free
roll,
now.
please.
No, you got coffee
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
$3 an hour. Is that what my time is worth these days?
and a 50% tip.
Well,
You go to Eleva.
Yeah.
Hey,
30, 40, 50%
30,
are
40,
the options
50.
for tip.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And now look, lovely people. The angry girl's gone.
Yeah. Angry Girl's gone.
The new guy is there, and he does smile. There used to be a girl that worked at Eleva that was
Nathan's
so
arch enemy.
angry. She would never.
Well, and she always gave Nathan a cold breakfast sandwich, and he's never been able to get over that.
Always. And
Like
then
every
she
time.
would flip the little finger around. She'd be like, would you like to tip me 30, 40, or 50%? He's like, no, I think you should be fired. But
But then he would give her 50 anyway.
I would do it, yeah, because I'm
He's a
softy.
part of the
Trying to
problem.
buy favor. Doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't
Then-
work.
Yeah, I was like,
Doesn't
well, she'll see this and she'll
Yeah.
smile next
Yeah,
time.
no.
No, I think she just disrespected me more. She was like, you're not the man.
Because it's all about you. It is.
Well, let's be honest, it probably is. Anyway, so welcome to episode 20. That's our intro.
That's the intro.
Taylor Averitte, hard Caucasian, is joining us today, a realtor with Nest Realty.
Yeah.
Okay.
that's
Tell
right.
us who you are, where you're from, and how you got here.
And how tall you are.
I'm just a shade under 6'4".
Yeah, he's a tall guy.
Yeah.
You wanted to get that
Small
up.
parents, 5'10", 5'2".
Wow. Tall mailman, though.
Well, maybe. We took family photos last year as my Christmas gift to my
Oh,
mother.
can we flash that up?
Yeah, I'll send that to you.
Thank you.
His dad's a short Italian guy.
And the photographer was having such a hard time getting us all in the frame that my mom started feeling uncomfortable and said, we just don't know where he came from.
Oh.
And the photographer said, I didn't want to ask. I thought one of you might be a step parent because he's so much bigger than you.
Oh my God. So was that your mom confessing? Have you done
No, no.
23?
Have you done 23?
Have you met
23andMe?
my mother? My mother is not.
Oh,
she's
your
like
mother's
on the straight and narrow.
sweet. Yeah,
are you kidding
super
me?
sweet.
Yeah. From Fayetteville, North Carolina, home of the 82nd Airborne.
That's right.
Not in the military, which is maybe the saddest thing about me.
And not Fort Bragg.
Not. My mom taught school in Fort Bragg for 35 years. But if you grew up in Fayetteville and you're not in the military, then your parents need an intervention. Why are you here?
Yeah.
I went to Chapel Hill, and then I came to UVA for graduate school. Stuck around, and have been a real estate agent in the Charlottesville area for 6 years. The last year and a half of those at Nest, which I'm very privileged and happy to be a member of.
Love Nest.
There it
What
is.
did you study at UNC?
I had a double major in peace, war, and defense and political science with a minor in history.
Say that again slower.
I had a double major in peace, war, and defense
Wow.
and
Yeah.
political science with a minor in history.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
To
you don't
become
take,
a-
you
to
don't
become
say,
a realtor.
Yeah, I was going to say,
That
you don't
was
say,
it. That
I'm
was
looking
the
to go into
track.
real estate. Let me look at peace, war, and defense.
With political science.
Yeah, with political science, because I feel like those two are going to marry. Pretty
Yeah, well, I wanted to
Yeah.
be an attorney,
Yeah.
for one. And two, when you grow up in Fayetteville, everything is very military oriented. And I really like military history to this day.
Sure.
I often fall asleep listening to lectures and biographies about people like,
Totally normal.
Nick Rowe.
last night I listened to one about Rommel as I went
Oh,
to sleep. So,
yeah.
God, I'm digging myself a hole. But
Kinda, yeah.
Yep.
But it was interesting. It's not really about war. It was more about like a study of human nature through like a lens of conflict. And it was actually pretty fascinating. I learned
Yeah.
a ton of
Yeah.
things.
What's your take on the Thucydides trap? Is it legit? Are we in the middle of one of those right now?
Thucydides trap?
Thucydides.
Thucydides trap?
You know what I'm talking about?
No,
no.
please elaborate.
That's the theory that
You wanna
you can't
show
have
off.
a change of the global number one power. It's all throughout history. There's been 60 times since the Romans when the number one global power shifts to the number two. In all but 4 of those, armed conflict of a grand scale happens. One was
Sure.
when we went past Britain. There was another one like 1800, but most of those have been fairly,
Yeah.
the sides that switched were fairly close anyway.
Yeah. I think one of them is a problem of modernity and the other is a problem of the way warfare is probably conducted. I mean, in the beginning of every class I took at Chapel Hill, they would have that, I think it's von Clausewitz quote that would say, war is politics by other means. And so back in the day, the only way to effectuate any kind of political change within the amount of strife that they had was probably through armed conflict and the elites sending the common man out to fight their war. But today, not only is it significantly more frowned upon to have war at a massive scale, but the type of war that could be perpetrated would be detrimental to the planet at large and not just to small pockets of cultures or individuals. So you're likely seeing the definition of war shift as political needs and capacity for violence change and increase. So things like cyber warfare or cultural warfare have probably proliferated to a degree that was not possible in antiquity.
So they didn't have the internet.
Well, what I'm saying is like the probability I guess if you're considering like China becoming the new hegemon, the probability that China invades the United States is probably less likely than the probability that China rolls out an app or that tries to make a cultural change.
TikTok?
Yeah.
TikTok.
I don't want to sound like one of those guys, but
it is.
But it's like, pretty obvious that like over here, TikTok shows a bunch of people like walking across the street and getting run over, and over there, TikTok shuts off at 10 p.m. and shows educational material.
Yeah, that's the algorithm. So I've just read an article about that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The way that it's used and the way that it's rolled out. And it's brilliant if you just want to rot us from the inside out.
Yeah.
Because it's doing its job.
I think that's more likely than them dropping an A-bomb or actually a hydrogen bomb or something like that. I mean, that would be, there's probably evolutions, but I think the kind of conflict that is going on in the Ukraine right now is probably a result of and I'm starting to really pull out of my backside, but it's like,
we're going there. Let's do it. Come on.
It's probably more strife and less like technological capacity than more advanced countries. Like, not that they're not advanced countries, but places like China or the United States probably not resort to having that nature of conflict between each other, at least not within the borders of their own countries, which is probably what's going on over there too. There's some sort of proxy war between greater powers going on within the world. You could see a third party being a battlefield for two giant hegemons.
Taiwan.
Yeah.
That's the one that's getting that one's getting a little crazy.
It's getting a little hot.
It's getting a little hot.
It's getting a little hot over there. Yeah, but that's my thoughts on that.
So anyway, back to real estate in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Let me stop. So we got what you studied at UNC. How about UVA?
There's a 1-year graduate degree in commerce at McIntire.
Wow.
So I did that. It's not like anywhere near the level of Darden. It's essentially like you couldn't have had a business undergraduate degree. So you cover some basic principles of business. And they probably put you in a bit more intensive than what the undergraduate degree. And there's also was an element of studying abroad for a month. So I was in Europe for a month.
France?
We did not go to France. I've been back to France since then. But so it's probably, it's not as intensive for, has as specific of a track as Darden would. And Darden is obviously a 2-year program, but it's a great foundation for business and if you don't have any kind of business knowledge.
So then did you go straight from that into real estate, or was there a little...
Well, I don't really have a lot of, my parents are very blue collar, and I didn't really, I wanted to go to law school for no real reason, except I thought that was kind of changing my stars, for a lack of a better term, from doctors and lawyers are the respected people in the community, as was what I thought. Not so much anymore, but so I, all my classmates were going to work in like DC and New York, and not only would I, at that time, I think those cities would have probably swallowed me whole, but I didn't want to be in like banking or consulting, and I didn't go to that program with the knowledge. I didn't even know what consulting was. Like, I was very just much like stumbling my way through trying to get better grades to get into more competitive law school. So I my best friend from the program he had a house on 13th and a half, and I stuck around to study for law school, and I got a job doing marketing at a real estate company. That was kind of a sinking ship. So I worked there for a few months, and then I met a guy named Brad Pitt who works at Keller Williams now, and we both left that company. And
Not the movie star.
And then I went and worked at S&P for 4 months, which that's an entire another story. But they hired me for a job that I was overqualified for. And then when I showed up for the first day, they said, "We couldn't believe you even took this job." And I said, "Why didn't you just offer me a different job?"
Right.
And so after 4 months, I was like, I'm not doing this. So I worked at another firm. I'd been offered a real estate job at a firm where Brad Pitt worked. And so I went and got a real estate license and just thought, I'll do this until I go to law school, and then really enjoyed it and have been doing it for six years now. Once I realized what student debt was, I thought, I'm not incurring more of this.
Right.
I don't think I'm going to make more money doing law than I'm, where I would want to live than I'm making right now. And the ROI, I'm not going to not work for 3 years and incur $300,000 more of debt.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it and I stuck around.
So are you mostly residential, commercial, land?
I'm completely residential.
All residential.
Yeah.
Are you more listing or more buying?
Last year was half and half.
Really? That's good.
Yeah. The first 4 years of my career, I was in a system where I was working exclusively with buyers. But then I just kind of went rogue and started doing listings without asking for, it just was like, I'm just going to do this now. And then when I moved to Nest, I think I was pretty much exactly maybe one more buyer than listings last year. I think I had like 29 transactions last year, and I had like 14.
Is that just preference for folks? Do some folks all want all listings, or is one more preferential than the other?
Maybe for some people are. I think in this kind of market, having a listing is preferential. I mean, I'd love to work with everybody, but last year, and a lot of my marketing efforts this year were oriented towards getting listings, because I would rather not, the ROI on getting a listing is spend $200 for the photos and put it online, and you get paid 30 days later, when there's 15 offers on every house. Right. If you're working with buyers, it's, whatever the cost of my time is, however you quantify that.
$3 an hour.
Apparently. Oh, wow. These people, I'm getting away a lot cheaper than I thought I would. Yeah. The cost of my time plus the cost of my gas plus and if you're making 5 offers or 6 offers for every client because they're losing, then it's a lot harder to get paid. Now, post 2008, I guess your preference would be to be working with buyers, because you had 55,000 choices on houses, and
right.
I wasn't around in that time. I wasn't even alive then, but
so young.
Just kidding. Yeah, so young. But it's definitely shifted. It's going back towards a more normal.
What's the difference in marketing towards a lister and a buyer? I mean, you said most of your marketing was towards that.
Well, if you're trying to market towards buyers, you're probably trying to buy cold leads through places like Zillow, or you're networking really hard with people who work in banks that have a retail side, like mortgage loan officers. So, the credit union is a great example. They have checking accounts at the credit union. A lot of people just walk in there and say, "Oh, I think I want a mortgage." So the person at the desk sends them to an office. Having a friendly relationship with that banker means that they think about you and they'll call you whenever they have someone that gets pre-qualified. If you buy Zillow leads, you spend X amount of dollars for people. People go on Zillow and just browse, and they click a button that says, like, I want to tour this house. And then if you give Zillow enough money, they act like you're such an awesome agent that they curated you to send these people to, right? So, that's where your dollars and your time can go towards getting buyers. Sellers is probably more, it's keeping in touch with your past clients better. It's farming. I've found that farming right now, at least in my experience, and other people may disagree, has not had that great of a return because of the rate environment we're in, has locked so many people in their houses that people aren't making vanity moves or just like, elastic moves. So that doesn't seem to have such an ROI, but it's probably, networking right now and keeping up with your past client base is the best way to market towards listings.
What's the market looking like right now?
It is constrained demand and constrained supply, but the supply is constrained at a significantly greater level than the demand is. I mean, 2 years or a year and a half ago when the rates were 2, I could just say, let me move across the street because I've always liked the bushes in front of their yard. And it would be maybe even cheaper than, not in purchase price, but your cost of cash would be cheaper. And so you had a lot of people just saying like, you know what, let's just go to Crozet for fun. Now what you have is a rate environment of 7 or 6.5, and people can literally not buy their house that they're living in back from themselves without doubling their mortgage.
It's crazy.
And so you have a bunch of dead inventory of people who, can't make preferential decisions, and they have to make obligatory decisions. So divorce, children, forcing them out of space, work relocation. And so even if we had 10 people looking for houses this time last year at a 3% rate, and now we have 3, we might have had 5 houses last year, and now we have 1. And so it's still multiple offers, it's still over asking prices, still waiving rights. Now, what I will say is that last year you could take a cardboard box and put a new set of paint on the outside of it and sell it for $30,000 over ask. This year, if you have a piece of crap on the market, it's going to accumulate days on market, and it's not going to be, people aren't panic buying it or just getting caught up in the hysteria of it. But so it's more normal in that way, of where there are houses getting more days on market and buyers are getting more rights to have favorable terms for inventory items that are less than desirable. But for houses that are awesome or in the city or highly desirable, it's the same situation for buyers. They're waiving rights and paying over asking price.
And cash is king.
Cash is king. I was listening, 30% of all transactions are cash right now in the city.
Yeah, and nationwide.
Yeah.
Is that high?
Yeah. It's actually less. It's actually less than last year. And there's a lot of people wondering why. Part of it is probably equity moves between people. But I think a big reason for that would be in Q1 of 2022, we still had not seen some of the rapid appreciation that occurred. And so you had investors coming in with cash, buying houses. And now, I mean, the rate of return or the monthly rate of return on some investors' cost of cash is getting prohibitive. Like rent numbers, and they're not recapitalizing quick enough. And so the market has appreciated so much where I think investors are holding their cash in certain real estate plays than they would have spent them in Q1 of last year.
I also read this thing where it said we're seeing one of the biggest generational shifts of wealth because these baby boomers are dying. And so this guy or this family, this father or mother or parents had accumulated $1 million.
Yeah.
Just all got shifted to the kids. And they said that's only going to accelerate over the next 10 years. And we're going to see this huge amount of wealth that gets pretty easily moved to folks. So,
well, you'll see that accelerate in the next 10 years. And then my guess would be that it would have an extremely steep decline after that acceleration.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the cost of college, like we were talking about this earlier, if you go to Duke University for $300,000 and then you go be an English teacher in Cumberland County, North Carolina, making $32,000 a year, you're going to have a $2 million loan in the next 10 years because you won't be able to pay back the recapitalizing loan because you're on an income-driven repayment plan. And then you're going to take your parents' inheritance and pay off your student loans, and then you're going to be broke. Mm-hmm. And you still won't be a homeowner.
So when does this model just crack? It's got to be close, right?
I think the model cracks when people well, first of all, we have to make a cultural shift. Like right now we have a culture, and I went to Carolina and I went to UVA. So take my comments with a grain of salt.
Right.
It's like I'm not anti-education.
Right.
But right now we have a cultural shift. About the time you're 14, your guidance counselor in high school tells you you're a failure if you don't have any college degree, regardless of what it is. Like, first of all, not all colleges and college degrees are created equal. Right. And you shouldn't spend $200,000 to go to Methodist College in Fayetteville, North Carolina, unless you want to be a golf pro. Like, I'm sorry, not to discount Methodist College, but it's like private schools being more exponentially expensive than public schools for no return on value for that. That we have to tell kids like it's okay to be a tradesman or go to PVCC for 2 years and not accumulate this amount of debt.
I've got roofers that couldn't qualify for PVCC.
Yeah.
Great dudes, smart at what they do, and I know they're making $300,000.
They're making cash.
At least that. Some of them are making.
But we're putting personal value
on
people's arbitrary paper, and then people find out only after the fact when they get out of college that people who went to bigger schools still judge them, you know?
Right.
So you have to, like, you're a no-class citizen without a college degree. You're a second-class citizen without a Power 5 college degree. And then you're a first-class citizen with a Power 5 college degree.
Until you meet somebody from Princeton, then like, seriously.
Yeah, you're like, oh, okay, and then that's the elite, right?
Right.
So then we have that issue going on. And then what do we, right now I think there's a real choice. It's like, as a parent, do I condemn my child to taking out this loan and then literally setting them back at about 15 years? Or do I spend the entire of my savings paying for them to go have a pregnancy scare and alcohol poisoning in the first semester? It's like, just to become like a codified fan of a minor league sports team. Like, that's essentially what college has become.
I feel attacked.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I didn't know if you knew you were getting this today.
No, let's do it, man. Come on.
It's getting to a point where we have to realize that, like, education is open source. These universities unwittingly are kind of shooting themselves in the foot. It's like professors from these universities, they're like, I own my content. And so they take their class and open source it on YouTube. And you can go on YouTube and watch a Harvard University class on physics. Now, I'm not smart enough to grasp it,
right,
like a student at Harvard would be, but I can watch it 3 or 4 times and buy the book on Amazon. I'm not going to get the paper, but it doesn't mean that I can't, if someone finds a way to show competence through open source education, the university model is undermined.
Right.
But we also just have no questions asked free money to universities being backed by the federal government, which, like everything, is something that happens out of all of the best intentions, but puts no oversight on the spending of the university. And so, I mean, go to UVA or go to Chapel Hill, and it's like one nonstop construction zone of just new and improved gymnasiums.
You can't find a university without
cafeterias.
Cranes.
And when I was at Chapel Hill, I had a friend coming to visit to take a tour, and I went on the tour, and the entire tour was like, oh, here's where you can play basketball on Saturday morning, and here's where you can eat on one of our 4 cafeterias. There's nothing about and here's where you learn math. And it's a country club where you get an educational degree now. Unless you're going to be in certain, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of learning going on, but there's really not, for some people, there's not so much learning going on. I mean, it's shocking the lack of critical thought that's coming out of education today. I mean, it's like some of the relationships I've had, I was like, you went to college and you can't reason beyond this point, but it's like, not to get my perspective, but it's like, I thought the point of going to college was, it's not about learning what a Higgins boat is. It's about developing a thesis, backing it up with evidence, and then drawing a conclusion and learning how to make an argument and being open to having your argument changed. And that's not what we're teaching in college anymore. And we're charging $200,000 to kids for it. And the kids are coming out with a loan that they literally can't pay back unless, even with an income-driven repayment plan. And their interest is reasonable. And so, to draw this all back to home ownership, you have a generation of kids who can't afford to qualify for a loan because they're underwater so much. The wage rate has not increased with the expense rate and the inflation rate of this country. And so, when I got to college, you get a job for $40,000. Even then it was expensive, but it wasn't as expensive as it is today. You're still going to get a job for $40,000. And college costs you 1.5 times what it cost me, and the cost of living has doubled in that decade that since I got out of school. When you talk about a lot of the social issues we have in the country right now are because people's power of control over their own lives has been stripped from them. And so, all that, people are searching for power through new ways to have some sort of control over their lives because all their financial power and all of their power to have and raise a family and to have a retirement is just being completely taken away. And it's just a sad situation. So I think what you're going to see is people are going to have to take their parents' wealth to pay off their personal debt because society told them that they are failures as individuals without accumulating it. And then we're going to have this just
It was a good run.
steep decline. It was a long.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
And the baby boomers benefited from it.
Sure.
They had a great time. This
Should I still got
this episode cannot air.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be just plastered.
It is crazy though how it's just
Well, to all of our Florida listeners out
the
there.
perception of what is successful and what you have to do to make a life. I had an uncle sent $2 to UVA. I think we talked about this area. He was a meat cutter at A&P.
Yeah.
That's a good kid.
Yeah.
And he had a house, he had 2 cars. I used to go to Disney World with my cousins. We'd ride in the back of a Caprice Classic every summer.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. And when my aunt didn't work, he cut meat. He was a meat cutter at A&P.
You could be a blue-collar, single-family income in 1970, raise children,
Yeah.
be a millionaire when you quit 30 years from now, and be a homeowner, and call it a day.
Do you know what the number one job, I think, this was, probably doesn't count or not, but the number one job in America in 1972 was? It was a Kenmore appliance salesman at Sears. They, I think, out of all the good, whatever jobs, had a professional area. But those guys used to make like $70,000 a year in 1972.
Yeah.
And just as a Kenmore appliance salesman, because that was it, really. That was the pinnacle, you know. And those guys, you went there, and that was your career, and you got a pension, which there's only this anymore. I mean, it's crazy what's happening in this country.
Yeah.
Well, I will be changing careers. Not the other exception. And I do want to respect your time. Because I'm very open game. This is amazing. Should we continue on another episode?
We can.
What's French for 30? Give it 10.
Taunt.
Fonts. We'll go from font to tons.
Taunt.
Font sounds kind of
T-R-E-N-T. Taunt.
Font.
Yeah.
Taunt.
Font.
Taunt.
Non, je taunt.
Oh, that's the air. Right back where we started before we went on air. There we go. Look at Sydney. She's like, I didn't sign up for this. This is my brain, guys. All right, well, hopefully Ben gets back from Sweden, and Ben will be watching this.
Yep.
Mazi, that's her 9th Asian name is, over in Israel, will be watching this. And anyone else that's traveling overseas, remember to stream this. Because we're international, Asia, Europe.
Taylor's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, you come on the show, and then there's probably some ladies, broken hearts and fans are down there on this thing as well. So,
Well, not confirm when.
yes. All right. Well, that's any way that folks can catch you on Instagram, and we do some stuff on Instagram.
Pretty much all I have is an Instagram.
Okay.
Taylor Averitte Real Estate is the Instagram handle.
Okay.
It's pretty big.
Very exciting. Very exciting stuff. A lot.
You can also sign up to be a part of my monthly distribution to local restaurants around town.
Millie Joe's.
Nearly this month, yes, right?
Just on the last one.
That's right. We have some bangers coming up.
Okay.
Tillman's
Oh, tennis.
Feast participating over there.
Great sandwiches.
Old Eva. So if you want to be on the distribution, you can drop me a line on LinkedIn or on my Instagram. And I'll send you a place where you can register.
All right. Well, that's it. Episode 20, Vente, Fall. Starbucks large. We will see you next week, right? We will be here this week. The whole crew. All right. And see you later. Sure, you came and talk. Bye.